Welcome to Phrase by Phrase. This is the channel where we study the Bible a phrase at a time in 5-minute chunks. And today we're looking at James chapter 1, verses 10 through 12. So let's just dive right in. James says, "And the rich man is to glory in his humiliation." He talked about the poor man glorying in his high position. Now James is talking about the rich man glorying in his humiliation. And there's a debate among scholars as to whether this rich man that James is referring to is a Christian or not. If it is a Christian, then perhaps he's alluding to the fact that this rich person may be stripped of their riches because they're under persecution. And so he's speaking to them about true spiritual riches, and they need to glory in their true spiritual riches. Their humiliation is there because they're putting their faith in Christ, and that's really the great and true riches. If he's speaking to a non-Christian, then he's warning this person of their destiny, all of us facing the destiny of death, and ultimately they need to be aware of what true riches are. Either way, though, James is drawing a distinction, but he's calling both the poor and the rich to a true view of wealth. And the admonition is to glory in his humiliation, to see life from its true perspective. And here's the reality. He says in verse 10, in the last part of it, "Because like flowering grass, he will pass away." So it's this fact that life is going to be over soon. "For the sun rises with a scorching wind and withers the grass, and its flower falls off, and the beauty of its appearance is destroyed. So too the rich man in the midst of his pursuits will fade away." You know, right in the midst of that, in other words, before he even realizes it, life is gone. Life is brief. And James stresses the rich here because they're the ones who are going to be tempted to depend upon their wealth. You know, money is a great tool. It's really neutral, and it's a great tool, but it isn't going to help us in the day of death. And so James is warning people to get their priorities straight now, because life will be over before we know it. So in the final analysis, both the rich and the poor who persevere under trial should look forward to the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. And that's what verse 12 says. "Blessed is a man who perseveres under trial, for once he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life which the Lord has promised to those who love him." So again, this whole section is about dealing with trial as it relates to finances and how we respond to that. So here's a couple of reflection questions for you to think about. The first one is this: if someone were to take an objective look at the way that you manage your finances, would they view you as a steward or would they view you as a consumer? That'd be a tough one to answer. And then here's another question. Is there anything in your answer that might nudge you to adjust your approach to your personal finances? Well, you think about that. God bless you.